Power of the skies. What the shadows they cast draw the spirits near. After all, tomorrow.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday night again, and we're back. We're back from beyond the veil, as one would say. Do you know that trailer? Danny, I hope you're watching this, man. I hope you get better soon, because I know he wasn't very well. So that's the guy that does the trailer for us, and get better soon, Danny. But I would like to see all the people in the chat. Who have we all got in there? Let's have a quick look. We've got Sneh, we've got Phoenix, we've got Mystical Love. Yep. Right, welcome for coming, guys. We'll let it a couple of minutes to fill up, a wee minute. But we are joined tonight by a very, very special guest. He had me and Dakota on his show, and it's none other than Nando from Portal to the Paranormal. See, I got your name right, Nando. When I made the thumbnail for this, it was the damn spell check on my iPad.
Chris sent me the thumbnail, and I think, what was it that you called me? I think it was
Nando or something like that.
Manu or something, probably. Manu.
It was a great thumbnail, but the name was wrong.
Thank
you for having me on.
It's fine. It's welcome, man. And I've been looking to have you back on because, well, never been on the show, but to have you on the show because you had me on your show, and I thought I would help you get your show out there, and hopefully people in the chat there will go and subscribe to your channel and everything. So, definitely, Drew, how are you? Down there below, you know,
great, good.
I've just realised Drew's in the wrong place, so I'm just going.
Oh, so I am, yeah, that's right. Back to my pew.
Our guest always sits down the bottom there, you know. But Nando, thank you for coming on the show. And how's things?
Yeah, things are really good. You know, we're just getting ready for the Global Ghost Hunt event to kick off because we have our investigation next Saturday. But we're quite lucky because we've been asked to take part in another event with another team, so we're going to be collaborating with them as well. So yeah, we've got some good stuff coming up, and it's all fun. It's all great.
Yeah. So Nando, can you? Some of my subscribers in there will probably know you. Could you tell us a wee bit about yourself and obviously your links and locations? You know, man, pump it out there, pump it out. Everybody subscribe
out there.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, so we are Portal to the Paranormal. We are a UK-based team in Hampshire that we hold events for the public to come and join us and investigate a number of locations that we do. We also have our own podcast, as Chris mentioned that he's been on with Dakota, called Portal to the Paranormal for the podcast, where we interview people from all walks of life of the paranormal. So ufology, crypts, spirits, whatever you're in, we interview. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Insta, YouTube, all the usual places. Hey Neil, how you doing, pal?
There's a man himself, Neil Story. Great guy.
Welcome, Neil.
How you doing, Neil? You feeling better, mate? We'll wait for him. But yeah, so you can find us on all the usual platforms, and you know, we just want to show people what we're doing, how we do things, and you know, and just have fun at the same time. Most important thing, enjoy what we're doing.
Yeah. I must say, guys, you need to check out Portal to the Paranormal podcast because it's a brilliant show, guys. Honestly, go and watch it. Subscribe. You've got a YouTube channel, haven't you? Just subscribe to the YouTube.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah,
I put it in the chat.
Thank you, Drew. Honestly, you'll see some amazing people they've had on, especially. Where is he? Where are you, Neil? I've lost you there in the kind of darkness.
On Facebook, Christopher.
Press the ring button. Yeah.
Welcome and share.
We've got Neil Story, which has been on Nando's show, which is an amazing episode because I watched it and it was well done. And I hope you're getting better.
With Neil, it was a great chat with Neil because of all the history that he brings along. He brings both parts. Like a lot of us, for me, you know, we do the investigations and everything, but Neil has a lot of stories that he's looked into, and especially when he was talking about how he got started, it was great. I really enjoyed the interview with Neil.
I really don't know how he can remember all those facts. I don't remember yesterday.
I was going to say that. How he can contain it all. It's unreal, you know. But
he just about killed me with one of his stories, and I'm not going to mention it tonight. Go and watch it. And I think it's about strange ways to die. Yeah,
Oh,
he's got a
wow.
book out on that. I think it's Gruesome and Strange Ways to Die. And he was on Bald and Bonkers, and he mentioned it, and it was about a man that taken too many of these pills. And honestly, I see after that, I couldn't stop laughing. I just could not stop laughing. Neil, you're terrible.
Well, it is a strange way to die.
That definitely was a strange way to die, you know. So Nando, what's on your show this? Have you got a show this week coming? You got a show this week coming?
We've got a couple of shows coming over the next week. So tomorrow evening, we have Bill Saven coming on. So excited about having a chat with him. He's been in the paranormal eye for quite a long time. Then we go to next Wednesday. We actually have the ladies of the Festival of the Unexplained, Rachel and Karen, joining me. We're going to be talking about the event coming up in September. And then Daryl Marston on the 13th of May. So yeah, we've got quite a lot going on. I'm excited. You know, it's going to be some great chats, and
I'm definitely going to try and get down to England more this year, because there's an amazing events go on. We were talking about that before we went live, that there's a few events on in England this year. We'll definitely need to try and get down for.
I do fancy going to that one.
And we were saying it's strange because you usually interview people and you're now being the interviewee.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a weird feeling. Usually I'm like taking control of the interview and doing the talking. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for you guys, and it's just like, wow, this is a little bit different.
We're quite laid back. You get a lot of people out there that like right into things and start asking you intense questions and stuff. Where's Drew? Where's the torch? I can shine it in his eyes, you know, and ask him strange and intense questions, you know. But we're more laid back, and that thing that you're talking about going to England, I might actually consider that, because Neil Story's got to be there and Dave Schrader's got to be there, and I think that would be absolutely awesome to go to.
The last chat that me and Neil had, we were talking about doing a bit of a dance off and a few whiskies. So you know, so it'll be a good laugh. The more people involved, I think.
Oh, I've been trying to get down from last year and this year. I definitely want to get down this year to some of the events and meet other teams.
There is there. What is it? I would love to see you over the border, Drew. There you go. I'll need to come over with my kilt on. You
I'll be over. Don't you worry.
It's always an event when a Scotsman walks over the border, you know. I'm
definitely coming in September, so I'll definitely be there in September this year. Yep.
Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be cool.
So Nando, obviously you're a paranormal investigator. Can you tell us about how you got into this kind of field? How did that all happen for you? How did you get into this crazy field, man?
I think, you know, as you're growing up, I think a lot of people can relate. When you're kids, you see things that you don't really understand. Looking back, you know, I do remember seeing like my grandmother coming to me. You know, I remember vividly waking up and she sat next to my bedside. And then I had dreams of her coming to me, walking up a street where I used to go to school, and we were sort of walking up, and then, you know, I remember things like that. But as you grow up, you sort of forget those sort of things, don't you? And it's just like, you know, I think with society and everything, you sort of led to think it was like the make-believe friend that you had. So you sort of forget it. And then as growing up, I got with my wife, Sarah, and she was into the paranormal. And at the time, I used to call it, she was going out playing Ghostbusters with her friends, because it got to a stage where I didn't really believe it because of the TV shows. And, you know, sort of some things made me think it's not real. But the thing that really got me, you know, really into it, there was one night that I was sat in the front room and my kids were upstairs in bed asleep. Sarah was in bed, and I would stay up and watch a bit of TV. And do you know, like the big heavy wooden doors that got the handle that you really got to push down? So it wouldn't just creep open with a gush of wind or a bit of a breeze. The door literally flew open, and clear as day, my grandfather walked in, a full apparition of my grandfather, him wearing his hat like he used to wear. He was quite a dapper granddad, you know what I mean? Like Italian. And he literally come in and sat next to me on the sofa like he was really there. And people, when they asked me, they're like, were you asleep? And I was like, well, no, I wasn't asleep, because I've never run upstairs so fast in my life. You know, it was like, it was one of those moments that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And then from there, you know, Sarah had been doing these investigations, and then she come home one night and, you know, we felt something pull our feet at the bottom of the bed. So little things started happening. And then during lockdown, Dan created Portal to the Paranormal, and he said, do you want to get involved? Initially, it was for me to do like background stuff, like getting locations, you know, doing things on social media. But then the more that I was getting involved with it, the more I wanted to see what is true and what isn't. So it's sort of like personal experience and an opportunity that was handed to me by Dan, you know, saying be part of this team and enjoy it. So so that's how I really got involved with it. And do you know what? I've enjoyed it because I didn't realize how big the paranormal community, shall we call it, how big it actually is. And you know, and some of this, it's just been a blast, and it's been amazing since.
Yeah.
I mean, the paranormal communities, the paranormal community is absolutely amazing, especially the people in the chat tonight, and Neil Story, Dave Schrader. I'm very honoured to have met all these people, and I never thought I would have got to meet these people, and it's absolutely amazing, you know. And I know what you're talking about. See the big doors that you're talking about. We had one in our house years ago, but we taken it away, and it is really difficult to open. That is quite strange. That is, because you've got to lift the latch up and then pull it open. And I know people that stay in the farm behind me that at night the doors will actually open themselves.
Do you know, if it just opened itself and then be that, I'll be like, it might have been some kind of freak accident, you know, something's just done it. But the fact to see him, and the funny thing that I really do remember after that, when I left the room, you know, as I was going upstairs, I could smell the tobacco he used to smoke. I don't know if you guys know, like licorice papers that you used to get. It was like a paper and old Auburn tobacco, and it leaves a very distinctive smell. And that smell, you know, I could smell it for a few days after. Even now, every so often, we smell like someone's smoking in the house, and none of us smoke. So it's just,
I really do think that we have proved the paranormal up to a certain extent. With all the different apparitions that people have caught, all the different grade A EVPs and things, I really do think we have proved it. It's just the keeping having to prove it to everybody, isn't it? Every location.
I think, do you know, when we're saying about proving to other people, there is the people that just don't believe in it. But I think sometimes, like if I was to say me personally before all this, I think personally part of the reason why I didn't believe it, because maybe I was scared to believe it, because I didn't. It's like you're going into the unknown, and you know, and if we look at it now, there's so many different theories. There's so many different, you know, that people say so many different things. You could say one thing, and someone will say something totally different. So it's like you're stepping into the unknown. And I say this quite frequently. No one can say they are. I don't feel anyone can say that they definitely know everything about the paranormal, because I think there's things. I still think there's stuff that we haven't touched upon that we even know about. God. You know, so and that's my opinion. I don't mean that to say that I'm right, but my opinion is I just think there's so many things out there that we don't know. I think we've just hit a small piece of the jigsaw puzzle. There's still a lot to put together to actually know more.
There's so much. I mean, you think about what happens after life after death. I get a lot of people, because I do this now, I've had a lot of people message me on Facebook and say, listen, my certain relations dying, right? And I want to put them at rest, Ken. I want to make them, what happens? And I'm like, see, that's the thing. I says, it's never really happened to me. And I've heard so many different stories about the light and how they come to you. I mean, Nando, what is your opinion on what happens in the end? What do you think happens?
Well, firstly, I will say that the most honest answer you can give to a question like that is we're never going to know the definite answer until we do pass over. That's firstly. And, you know, and another thing that I would like to point out to a lot of people, everyone has the right to think what they want. You know, I think firstly, before I answer my opinion, it's an opinion, and we all need to respect what we're going to say different. But in my personal belief and things with what I've experienced, I think once you pass, you go to a better place. You go to like a place where you can just be, you know, who you want to be, and you get to choose to come back. And you know, because and the reason I say that, I've had situations like last year. I was quite unwell, and I had a blood clot in my lungs.
Wow.
And it was funny because my wife, she was amazing. She was looking after me. But one night I was that ill, and apparently I turned around to her and said, "Don't worry, my nonna said everything's going to be fine." Now, nonna is Italian for granddad.
Right.
You know, so so I believe that they choose. I think spirits do choose to come back to when we need them the most. Because it just happened to be, even I had an operation a couple of days before, and the first thing I remember was sitting in the garden with loads of flowers around me with my auntie, and she used to love her gardening.
Wow.
So I do think once we're finished here, we don't actually, that's the end of us. I think spirits get to choose to what they want to do. I do think there's another life after death where they get to be what they want and do what they want. And that's my opinion.
Yeah, mine is similar.
See, that's quite interesting. See that. So, what's your opinion? I'll use that word. What's your opinion when it comes to spirits that are maybe stuck here?
So, spirits that are stuck here, and again, I don't claim to be a professional or know everything, but what I've learned and what I've stepped into, I think spirits that tend to be stuck here is, I believe, if they've had a tragic death, an unexpected death, for example. And I think some of them may be stuck here because they don't realize that they may be dead. Yeah. So we can be talking like residual energies that are repeating the same thing over and over again because they don't, that's the last memory they have and they're just repeating it. Do I believe that some of them need help? Yes. And I think that's where you get the people that have the ability to, you know, maybe help them, you know. But yeah, I think it's because they're either, and the other thing, they got unfinished business. So they haven't done what they wanted to, or they haven't had the opportunity to smooth things out with a loved one, for example. And, you know, and they don't know how to move on.
Yeah.
See, before the show started, you were telling us a story about that little girl. Could you tell us a wee bit about that? Because I found that, when you go.
So we, as a lot of people know, we do public events where we invite people to join us at locations. So we were at a location in Portsmouth, in Hampshire, called Murchison Hall. So me and Sean were together doing our own thing while the other teams were doing their bits. And we were upstairs and we were doing call outs. And we got a young lady's voice come through the spirit box. And when communicating, we were drawn to be outside. And so we decided, you know what, we're going to stop for a break and then we're going to go and do some bits outside. So we went out and there's like this footpath and we got 3 of the people to do dowsing rods. Now, dowsing rods, you know, I know they could be easy manipulated to do what you want. But it was quite funny. A lot of the questions, the 3 people were getting the same responses, like nearly immediately, which I found quite fascinating. So, you know, because they don't know, if they're making them go in and out for the yes or no answers, they wouldn't be doing the same one straight away. It wouldn't go the same direction. So we're asking questions about, you know, what happened to you? Are you a girl? Yes. Were you murdered here? Yes. And then I think we sort of left it there. We didn't want to go too into it at that moment. No. But then afterwards, we Googled the location to find that, I believe it was in the late 90s, a young 15-year-old. The story was she got talking to someone online who was 21, went to meet them, and then her body was found the next day by a wedding party. She had been, with what they say is, it looked like she had been maybe sexually assaulted and that. But the thing is, to get that sort of evidence is like, we knew nothing about that story until we Googled it. And it just shows how powerful, if you're doing the right thing and you're communicating in the right way and you're being respectful, you will uncover the history. Usually it's the history that you uncover. But that, for me personally, and again, my opinion is this girl must be stuck because she doesn't really understand, and she must
That's
be
the sad side, isn't it?
and
Yeah.
and the thing you got to think, a 15-year-old, to go through something like that, they still rely on their family, they still rely heavily on their parents, so
Yeah.
she must, and it was quite upsetting. And when you read the story,
Oh, yeah.
it was like, wow. And I think that was one of the most emotional bit of evidence.
Oh, yeah.
You can't say that's great because of the story behind it, but it just shows how powerful the paranormal world can actually be and what kind of things can be uncovered.
I just find that really sad for that poor
Oh,
soul
it is.
that's just stuck there. I mean, when you go back and you got to try and help her cross over.
See, that's not my forte to be able to do something like that. I think, we would need to, find someone that has that sort of ability, because we don't have that. We rely on equipment. We rely on our, everyone being in this field, you do get to learn about your senses and, hearing things that shouldn't be there. But something like that, it's a hard one. I would say if we had someone that could come and do something like that, then maybe that's what she needs. Because like we were saying, some spirits, I think, are still here because they need that help. They need that to tell their stories so they can move on.
Yeah.
But then again, see, that's a good point. I mean, then again, because you've told that story and what's happened, that person could have crossed by now.
Could release that.
Yeah, that's the thing. No investigation is the same. Yeah, I think depending on, there's some location that there's so much history that goes through a location. There's so many different stories to uncover. One day you can be dealing with a spirit that, was a former police officer in a building. And then, and the next time you go back, it could be totally different. I just think the most important thing about the investigation is just, ensuring that you document what you've picked up, and then you can relate to it further down the line when you go back to these locations. But yeah, some of the stuff that you get is amazing. Like I said, I didn't heavily believe in it like I do now. So I'm not one of these people that, firstly, everything that happens is paranormal, because that is not true. It's like you got to be prepared to, sometimes you think you've got something and it turns out it
So
is
where
not.
were you then when you realised that it was real? Can you remember?
What, for me?
So
one of the things that that I thought, wow, this is real, when we're talking about actual physical contact, or with equipment. So me and Luke, another team member, we were doing an investigation at Manor Farm in Southampton. And at the back there is an old church, and it's got a graveyard and everything. And we were doing, it was just really simple, and we put it on TikTok as well, but we were just doing a simple call out with the spirit box, and we had a cat ball on the middle of the altar. Now in front of us there's actually like a rope, so you can't actually go, you got to sort of lean over to get your stuff. But as we're talking, the phone we were recording, you actually see something knock, and then suddenly the cat ball just moves across the table.
Wow.
It literally just moves across, and then all you see, bless Luke, his face sort of like, whoa. And because he's quite new to it as well. He's quite new to it. He originally just did it because he wanted to do some filming for his portfolio, because he's a photographer and a filmmaker in a way. But then he's got really involved in it, and that was quite like a wow moment for us.
I've not had my wow moment yet. I can't
don't worry, Drew, it's going to come to you.
Yeah, I know.
I've had a damn dungeon or something.
Not yet.
And
That's amazing,
I think the other one for me, personally, my name's quite unusual, Nando. So with the spirit box, you would get a number of things come out, but the last thing you would think is my name to come out. So we were at Bursington Brickworks, an old mill, where they had a load of workers, and we were sat down, and it was me, Dan, and Luke, and we were sat in the set, and nothing was happening at all. And we had the spirit box in the middle, and then suddenly my name come through, clear as day. And I was like, wow, like, that's great. That's great. I'm ready to go home now. That's it. You've done enough for me. But yeah, I think for my name to come through, which is quite an unusual name, I just thought that was quite a cool bit of evidence as well.
See, I love evidence like that. There's nothing better when you're sitting somewhere and the spirit box says your name or something. I mean, I've got a unique name. My name's Andrina. So when it comes through the box and things, there's nothing can dispute that, you know. I think that is the best evidence there is.
It was great. I think that was a cool bit of evidence and I think the thing is, when you ignore, you know, at that moment nothing was going on, so we just started talking amongst ourselves. And for me, that's a symbol of saying, oh wait there, you're actually here to see me. Don't be going chatting, don't be going chatting your waffle over there. I'm still here. And I think that was an indication, a small indication, that the spirit wanted us to know that they are actually there. You know, so you know, sometimes diverse and have a chat amongst each other, talk about stories, and the spirits react to it, you know, because you're still building energy, you're still, you know, and then they're like, oh, I'm being left out here, so I've got to do something to draw the attention back in.
Spirits maybe look forward to people coming and visiting, or when people are there, they maybe really enjoy it, you know.
Yeah, I think all spirits are different. Some spirits want to communicate. Some spirits, because of maybe something bad's happened to them, they're more cautious. I do believe spirits know what they're doing and how they want to do things. I don't think they're stupid, or, you know, I think they're quite intelligent, and it just depends on the kind of person they were in life. If they were quite shy and timid, I think they cross over to be the same thing in the afterlife as well. So and I think a lot of it's about building trust with locations, and you know, you can't go in and think that they're going to give you everything. They need to you can be trusted.
I've just got to say a couple of things. 24 minutes into the live, around about 24 minutes, when you were talking about the man on your back, I heard a voice saying yes. It was agreeing with you, Nando. I'm wearing headphones. Obviously, you guys are different. I don't know if there's anybody in the chat heard that, because I've got my headphones cranked up quite high, because I'm getting older than death, so I have to turn it up quite high.
Mystical self-correct.
Yeah. It's just when Nando went, you were talking about them answering back, there was like a yes.
All right.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's something that's following you.
Ooh.
Let's not start that one, Chris. Let's.
What do you mean?
If anything's there, stay where you are.
Have you had anything follow you? Do you think?
That's a good one.
Have I had any? Me personally, no. The only thing that I can recall, my wife went and did an investigation, and this is before she actually joined the team, and she went with her sister and I think another friend of hers, and the night they come back, both of the boys were all three boys were actually in bed asleep, and we heard running across the landing. So straight away we go upstairs to have a look if, you know, what was there. Nothing. And that was the same night that we both had our feet tugged, like someone had tried to pull us down the bed, like a small hand. And it was funny because it seemed to have come after she went to this location. So since then, one thing that Sarah will do, and I think she was like, if there's any spirits here, you've got to stay put. You're not welcome to come with me, because again, you don't realize how powerful the paranormal is. You know, you need to be very vigilant. You need to be very, you need to be aware of your surroundings before just going in and doing anything. Because I do believe you can stir up things sometimes. And when I say stir up, I'm not saying demonic stuff, because I'm not a big thing about demonic. But you know, I think you just need to do your due diligence and understand what you're doing before going into it.
See, before you go to do an investigation, it was when I was talking to Neil Story last on a live, he was talking about when he goes to a location, he doesn't use any equipment for the first time. He's like, he walks into have you ever tried this? I've just walked into a location with no phone on, no equipment whatsoever, and just went to and sat down and used your eyes and your ears and just sat there. And
a lot of locations that we go to, we do a pre-walk round anyway before actually putting out all our equipment and just getting a feel for the location and see. And it is so funny, you know, a number of times we're walking through the tunnel, for example, and you can hear footsteps, like people know that the spirits know that you've attended their location, and they're following you to watch what you're doing. So you can hear, or you can see sudden, like in the corner of your eye, you can see someone that's whooshed past you, for example. And you know, I do think, you know, it is good to use your own senses, but you know, again, you just got to be careful the way you're doing it, because you don't want to open yourself up and then suddenly you're overwhelmed with things going on. You know, you've got to be careful.
I know exactly. I went to a graveyard once, and it was weird. It was weird that I was just wandering about, and it was, you know, it was in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, it was absolutely in the middle of nowhere. There's not a house for like maybe 2 miles away. But it was weird. It was, you felt like you were being watched. It didn't matter what you did, and I don't know. I never done an investigation there. I maybe need to go back there and do an investigation, because it didn't feel friendly. And I started getting the warning, you know, the warning kind of feeling, and I left. And have you ever investigated any like graveyards or abandoned churches or stuff?
Yeah. We've done graveyards before. There's one just up the road from us, and it's got a mausoleum. And you know, we uncovered what I think was, and I think Sarah that was there, and we had the opportunity to investigate with Brian John Laverty and Lex from Lex Paranormal.
That's right. I think it's that. Yeah.
And I think we really did uncover a love story between a husband and wife. And
was the one with the flashy balls, and they had them sitting in the right. And that was brilliant.
And when people get to see that, when Brian releases it or Lex releases it, you know, the story it confirmed about the man and wife, and that they were together, and it was just like, it was such an amazing piece of evidence, and you know, to uncover their love story, it was great, you know. So that was a great one at the mausoleum. And like I said, just over the road from it is a graveyard as well, where we've investigated and we've had things come through, spirits come through, you know. So
if I dash it, and then we'll go to some questions in the chat. If any want to ask chat any questions, guys, please put it in capitals, so as I know if you want to ask questions. What's your favourite bit of ghost hunting equipment?
I've got to be honest, my favourite one is the cat balls. It's not even designed for...
You like playing with the balls?
I like playing with... I like the balls. No. I like...
I can't believe you said that.
No, I really do like the cat, because one, is not purposely built for the paranormal. Firstly, so it's not designed for a paranormal investigation. It's simply a toy for a cat to flick around. But I've got to be honest, some of the responses that I've had from using the cat balls have been really, for example, we did an investigation at Nuns Cross Farm in Dartmoor, and the story of this place was the land was bought by a husband and wife to work the farm. One day the wife had gone out to tend to the animals, and she had disappeared. A couple of days later, her body was found in the river. And to this day, they never actually uncovered what had actually happened to her, like the cause of her death. Well, anyway, so we went there, we slept at the location. And one, it was like the coldest location we've ever stayed in. It was absolutely freezing. It was horrible. But I went outside on my own, and I literally set up the camera, and I put a cat ball just next to the camera so people can see it. And I think I asked a few questions. One of the questions were, are the Hoopers here that once worked and lived here? Are you still here? Immediately the cat ball went off. And then my next question was, can you tell me which one of you are here? Is it Mrs. Hooper? The cat ball went off immediately.
See, that's...
You know, and to be clear, I made sure that the cat ball was in a position where the button wasn't being pressed by anything, so it was facing up. And at that moment, you know, if the cat ball was moved or anything in any way by wind, it would have fallen off the bit of rock that I had it lent on. It was like a rock wall, you know, but it hadn't moved at all. That was the funny thing about it. The ball was still in the same position whilst I was recording the whole thing. And another piece of evidence that I thought was a great great bit, and
Yeah.
I do like using the cat. I do
Yeah.
like using
It's
the cat balls.
it's
I like
quite
them.
interesting you say about the cat balls, and I mean, you're going to Amazon or going to eBay, you can get them for next to nothing, right? You can get like 3 in Amazon for like £6 or something like that, right? And it's amazing because you get all this equipment like the LSS cameras and stuff like that. You can buy all this really expensive equipment for ghost hunting, and thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
and a couple of cat balls actually do prove more, than
If you
it's shocking.
a lot of the stuff when you see me doing filming, when you see me putting things up on our social media, you'll always see me
Yeah.
with a cat ball somewhere,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I do think a lot of people have their go-to equipment, what they feel most comfortable using. There's other equipment I do like using the spirit box.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan on mobile apps. I've got to be honest. I think
Right.
mobile apps, you've got to be very careful, and you
Yeah.
really got to look into what app that you're using and how it's designed to do things.
Yeah.
The only one that I would say I'll be on the fence on is Necrophonic, because you can actually turn off all your mobile data and everything, and we've still had responses come through. Even down in Hampshire, we got Fort Whitley, we got the Fort Tunnels around Portsmouth, and when you go down into the tunnels, there is no signal. Our mobiles don't work. So in hindsight, equipment shouldn't be working down there because there's not anything, and it still works. We've had things come through and tell us specific things. And I'll give you an example. We had a gentleman that joined us, and we were walking down the tunnel. And I love this because of the story behind it. So the first thing he said to me, he looked at me, he goes, "Look, I don't believe in any of this. I'm just here for my missus and her mum." Right. And do you know what? I was like, do you know what? Fair play to you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for trying it out. So we were stood in one of the side tunnels, and we were just doing a call out. We had Necrophonic on the windowsill.
Yeah.
And we were just asking questions, and then stuff started coming through saying, "I'm here, son." We didn't have a clue what this was where this was going. Okay, who's your son? This guy's name come through, and then he goes, and I didn't establish his name straight away because it was like we were just getting into it all, and he was like, "That's me," and we turned around and goes, "If we put him in the room on his own, will you still communicate?" It said yes. So we put him in the side room where we could still hear him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "If you're this gentleman's dad, can you do something?" As I said that, the guy said he had a hand touch him in the back of the head.
Wow.
Now, to make it even, it was more amazing that this man coming through started saying the gentleman's girlfriend's name that he had never met because he had passed away before he got with his girlfriend.
Wow.
The sister's name, and he was like, "Son, think about what you're doing, and I'm always here." And I felt for the guy because he come out and he was in tears. They had to take him back into the coffee area, and his girlfriend and her mother were like cuddling him. And he comes to me at the end of the evening. It was like, "Didn't expect that. That was absolutely amazing. I'll be back." And I think the story was beautiful, but the fact going from "I don't believe in this" to "I'll be back and I'll see you soon," I thought that was quite cool. So
I'm just going to say this really quick. The 37, there was a voice, and at 38, there was as if it was a man's voice, and he was agreeing with you, Nando.
Wow.
I
That's
think
weird because everything I've been on all week, getting voices through. They're everywhere right now, communicating through the live stream.
Nando. They're all around you, Nando.
The spirits know how they can communicate, though, so they're getting used to coming through in the live streams and things.
I think a part of it is if you're very respectful to the industry and the way you do things, people the spirits are gonna know if you're a genuine person or not, and they're gonna come through. Like I do believe anything can happen at any time. It's not set. I know some people say, "Oh, we got to do this on the witching hour," and because that's when I don't necessarily believe in that. I think if the spirits are going to want to do something, they're going to do it whenever they want. They're going to choose to do it.
That's a good point.
Certain times of the day, the month, and things. It does make it stronger. Certain times of the year, of course, October, the veil's really thin, but it doesn't mean that you can't communicate with them all the time.
See, that's I find that interesting because hey, Danny in the chat there, it's good to see you, bud. But
Danny.
there's I mean, people say, oh, you should always go out at night. You should always go ghost hunting at night. Aye, you should go ghost hunting at night. But see, if you go out during the day, it's actually surprising what you'll pick up.
Oh, yeah.
Because look at that hall, that Carmichael Hall that I went to, Drew.
Yeah.
And I was just taking random pictures. Random, there was the tower, and I taken a picture of it. Didn't think anything. And I sent them to a friend of mine. And that was like maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And there's a spirit looking out of the window. And
I agree with you, Chris. I think it doesn't matter the time of day. You know, I know people have their, you know, like spooky seasons in October. That's when I just think, you know, anything can happen at any time in the day, in the night. I just think it is just deep down, I think, as if spirit wants to communicate, if spirit wants to come forward, you know, and I think that's why it happens, because they feel they want to. Because I'll be honest, there's sometimes that we go out to a location and nothing happens at all. It's like literally like nothing's there, you know. So
but that's evidence as well, though, I think, because you're not always going to get the spirits on point every time. Sometimes they're not there, and then you go back next time and they are there. So it proves it even more, I think, these spirits.
Yeah, I think, or the thing is, if you're new to a location and the spirits don't know you, they're scoping you out. Like we do. When we meet someone for the first time, you're not going to give them everything about you, because you need to, you know, find out, are they an honest person? Are they trustworthy? Is it the kind of person that you want to be associated with? And I think that's the same with spirits. They want to know, are you going to come in and be one of these people? And I hate to say it, you know, these people that fake evidence, you know, that fabricate their stories. You know,
or shout at them.
You know,
that's what I was just going to say. That's
my problem with
lightness
that
comes into this. When you go,
so, what was that, Chris?
When you go, Nando, I just got to say the politeness with ghost hunting, kind of like bursting in the door and starting shouting and swearing at the ghost to try and get a reaction off them.
It's not going to work. And I think, you know, and people that make out evidence, you're disrespecting the location, you're disrespecting the spirits that are there. You know, I know, and people might agree or disagree with me. I know there's some people on the TV that are true to what they do. I believe that they are doing it right, but there is people that are lying. And you know what? You're falsifying it, and you're giving people false pretenses. You know, you're giving people a false representation of the paranormal field. And I think that's why spirits. And then when we capture evidence that we're being truthful about, it's harder for people to believe it, because, you know, I think people are starting to realize that the TV is not as it's portrayed to be. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's look, it's like they're faking. They are faking it. Some of the stuff they're trying to make it as scary as possible, right? And fear sells. Fear makes money, right? There's investigators out there that daily expect shows that I'm not going to name about, and they're absolutely fantastic, and they do it the right way, and they're professionals about it. But then you get ones that have been out for like years, and I don't know how they make all that money, because I can't even watch it anymore, because it's just utter shit. And it's there's sorry about my swearing, but there's people out there that like ghost hunters like you, Nando, and there's people out there that are actually doing a really good job. And these are not getting like many views, but then there's people out there that are faking it. Oh, there's a demon. See, that really annoys me, by the way. Demon, that it really annoys me. It's highly unlikely you're going to run into a demon. It's very unlikely.
For a start,
the demon, the demonic side of things. Now, firstly, and I said this earlier on because I was talking to like AJ and Robin. We were having a chat. I do believe there's things out there that we don't know what they are. But, you know, I don't believe, and again, this is YouTube, like big YouTubers, TV show. Something bad happens, it's demonic. It's something bad. Now,
it's demonic.
If a spirit that's passed on was, I don't know how to put, was a bit of a grumpy old so and so in life, they're going to pass on with that same kind of character, aren't they? And because that's what they portray people are too quick to say this is demonic, this is and you know what, we've done loads of locations, and I honestly don't feel we've ever come to, and we've done locations that have been put on TV as well, that people are saying something's demonic there. And you know, I just think sometimes it's a pissed off spirit that doesn't want to communicate, and it does something to, you get something come through the spirit box saying F off. Or
it's like it's like if somebody does like say there's two YouTubers, right? One YouTuber says, been to this haunted location, done a spirit box, got a reply, nothing much seen. He'll maybe get like maybe 20 or 30 views, but then if somebody says, oh, demonic spirit, so it came to kill me and it was demonic and it was blood scooting its eyes and stuff like that, and there was cupboards were cheating, cans were getting chucked at them, and the mad noises, they get about 1 million views.
I know.
And
it's crazy.
It's stupid. It's madness, because there is people out there that do a fantastic job, like people in the global ghost hunting and stuff like that. There's people there that are doing an absolute fantastic job. And then there's people that fake it, and see the fakers, it really annoys me. Because I know Lex for Lex Paranormal, he goes after the fakers. I'm actually trying to get, if you're watching this, Lex, I'm trying to message you. But I think Lex is brilliant, because he goes after the people that fake stuff. And see the faking is destroying a lot of credibility in the paranormal field. I will say that.
Yeah, it's a shame, because some of these locations have really good, really good sort. You just got to build. It's like with anything in life. When we meet people, you've got to establish a relationship. You've got to build on a relationship. It's not something that happens overnight. It's like when you start seeing someone, it's a sort of the same thing. You build a relationship to trust, and that's what people need to realize when you're going into these locations. You need to, one, go in with the right mindset, and two, just be a bit understanding. Sometimes spirits don't want to communicate, especially these locations that are getting heavily investigated. I like a saying that my wife says, and I quite like it. They're not performing monkeys. It is true. We got to treat, just because they're crossed over and they're in the spirit world, they're still people at the end of the day, and we got to treat them like people and respect. And I think that's what sometimes missed, like going in there with like the big I am, pumping your chest out like a gorilla and saying, I'm here, you're going to do this. That ain't going to, I was going to say another way. I wanted to be nice about it. I don't want to be, but you know what I mean? You just got to be.
Parents must laugh. They must laugh at half of them.
yeah. It's like something I learned, with Brian, when we did an investigation with Brian John Laverty. He introduces himself every time, and he will introduce every individual around him, and you know what, we do that as well now. Because you're learning every day. It's like, this is a learning industry. You learn something new every day, and I didn't tend to do that, but now we introduce ourselves, and we did one with the whole group, and we're like, set off the cat ball when you hear the person's name that you want to talk to. Nando, this, that. And then we got to a third person, and the cat ball shut off, and it was just like, okay, you want to talk to this person? This person, do your talking. And if you do it the right way, you will get some good evidence, and you will get some. All I say to people is, be prepared. It's not like it is on TV. If you want real investigations, you got to be prepared. It's like going fishing. You cast your rod, and you got to be prepared to wait for a bite. It's not going to happen.
People want to go for an hour and get hundreds, whereas it takes hours upon hours to get one word.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it might be the smallest fish in the pond, but that's what you're going to get that day. And it's the same with the paranormal. You might get the smallest piece of evidence, but that's all you're going to get. And that's got to be enough. And then you just go back and build on it. And, and just hope for the best.
Yep.
If I had to say to you, Nando, you could have anywhere in the world, go anywhere to any locations, you had 3 choices, what would they be?
Anywhere in the world?
Anywhere.
Oh, blimey.
3 choices.
Well, I was going to ask you where your favourite type of location was to investigate. So maybe that'll be a 2 in 1.
My favourite one that we've done to date, based on the evidence, is Nuns Cross Farm. With I think I managed to communicate with the Hoopers that used to live there.
Right.
I thought that was quite cool. And that location, again, we were in like the house was it's a derelict house. There's no running electricity in the house whatsoever.
I think I've seen that one.
And it's in the middle.
That's-
When I say in the middle of nowhere, it's in the middle of nowhere. It
Yeah.
was like there's nothing, literally nothing around it. And I thought that was quite cool because we were sat in what I would say the dining room, and we had a ball where the fireplace was, and we were all sat at the table. And out of nowhere, this ball just moved and went shotting across the room. The table moved on its own. So that was quite a cool location. Another location I liked was Oxford Castle and Prison. We did a sleepover there, and that was me and Dan slept in the punishment tunnel that night. And I kid you not, there was something in that prison with us all night. And the thing with me, I still get quite nervous about things, and I'm like, Dan, if I'm going to sleep in there, you're going to stay up for me for a bit, just to make me feel comfortable.
Yeah,
so we set up our beds. And I was like, Dan, you all right, mate? He just went to sleep, the sod, didn't he? And I'm like, you arse. Because they locked us in from the outside as well. So they actually locked the door so we couldn't get out either. So that was quite an experience.
If you'd pick one location on Earth where you would love to go, which you'd say that's not really been ghost hunted, where would it be?
The Dolomites in Italy. I would love to go there. I think if you look at that location, if you have a look at the location as well, when a lot of the people died, they didn't have the funding to bury people properly. And to this day, there's still skulls of people that have passed on and you can actually walk underneath it and see, I think that would be, that there's a lot of history. There's a lot that I think that would be an amazing place to
definitely
investigate. Another place, not so much the paranormal, but again, you hear a lot of stories. It's actually the Loch Ness monster. I've got a thing about it. Again, it's one of those stories. There's so many different theories about it. I just want to. It would be great. Is it real, or was it something that was just to get tourists to come over and
I know.
What is it? And
it's an amazing place anyway, though, up there, isn't it?
It looks lovely. It looks amazing.
It's not that you've got Alistair Crowley's house there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And there's a lot of ley lines run through there. As a Scotsman from my home country, there's a big monster lives there if you're American, come on your holidays. But anyway,
a jumper.
I know people that have seen some strange stuff there, but I know people that have seen more spirit activity there than the monster itself. I know people that have been to the castle there next to the loch itself, and it's eerie, really haunted, haunted, and I mean extremely haunted. And it's no that there's a lot of ley lines run through Loch Ness that people don't realise, and that's why I think Alistair Crowley bought the house up in the hill.
Why he picked that location,
And obviously his house burnt down, but you can actually sneak in. I know people that have sneaked in like explorers and stuff like that, and it feels really, really weird.
Yeah.
They're actually rebuilding it. They're actually thinking about rebuilding his house. And I think that would be an awesome place for an investigation. Where you go, Nando, we could send you in a wee rowing boat.
If you ever come up, Nando, definitely let us know, and we could definitely do all that together as a meet up.
We can do that all together. It would be great. It's just one of those, with the Loch Ness monster itself, it is again one of those stories that's been so heavily televised over the years, and we're going back years and years. There's so many documentaries about it, and again, with the documentaries, with the people's evidence, a lot of it's been debunked that people are faking it just to try and get themselves known. And it would just be great to see what evidence has actually been found, and just trying to work out what's real and what's not real. Quite cool.
See, there's a lot of lochs near Loch Ness that's actually got other monsters in it that not many people talk about, and like the Kelties and stuff like that. People don't talk about them because it's no famous like Loch Ness is. And
the myths and legends.
You should come up to Scotland, man. We'll go a tour of Scotland. We'll go to Loch Ness and say,
definitely.
I think
we
it'd be
should do
awesome.
that. Let a little trip up to Scotland, have a little
Yeah.
investigation, go to
Yeah.
some of the locations that you've investigated, and just see
Yeah.
what we can uncover. But I think that's the best part of the, something that I'm starting to really enjoy about the paranormal is collaborating with other people. Like I said before, we got to work with Lex, we got to work with Brian Laverty. We're going to be doing stuff with the Patrol Paranormal, who are based in Brighton. It's just great to get to know, and through this podcast as well, we've got to meet a lot of great people. So many different characters, and it's just been awesome. It's an awesome experience, and it's just fun. It's really truly a great. It's crazy. A lot of people might think it's crazy, but it's one of the best industries to be in. If I'm honest, it's just like
speaking to the spirits. I love to hear all the different stories and things. I would love to get a full story out of spirit about from when they were born right up to when they died. I would love to get the full lot.
I mean,
have a cup of tea.
I will say this: the community we're in, the new, is an amazing community. Everybody in the chat there, because there's a lot of new people in there that I've never seen before, ghost hunters and stuff like that. Because we've got 19 people watching, we've got 10 people on YouTube, and then we're close to other networks. We've got another 9 people, and I must admit, there is a lot of good people out there, and there's a lot of good investigators out there. And I will say this: see people that fake it, people that fake stuff, it really annoys me. We really need to get Lex, get him a big badge, and get him to arrest them.
Lex is on patrol. People, watch what you're doing. He's on patrol. Yeah, I think you're right. It is a shame, and it's one of those things that we're not going to be able to change. And what's important for people like us, like Portals to the Paranormal, we just continue what we're doing and doing it the best way we know to do it, and being true to ourselves. And then, it's not about us getting a big wide audience. It's just enjoying the hobby that we're doing, because it is a hobby at the end of the day.
That's the reality. And the people that want to join in, out to other people.
And people that want to join in and find out more than welcome to, come on an investigation with us, join us on our podcast. I always say with every show that I do is get involved. If you've got a question to ask your question. There's no stupid question. Well, there is some stupid questions that people ask, but you know what I mean.
It would surprise you, the amount of questions that people send me.
Oh yeah, some of them are just
some of them get
and I think the great thing about it, we're all learning from each other. That's the biggest thing. We're learning from other people, and everyone has different ways of doing things, and just embrace it, enjoy it, have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Nando, nearly the end of the show. I've got a couple of announcements I need to make after this. Nando, where can everybody find you? I've got all the links below this video. If you click the wee X icon and shut the chat, you'll see an arrow. Just click on that, and all Nando's links are in there, guys. So, but where can we find you?
Check them out, guys. Remember, not on YouTube, Facebook as well.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. I think that's where we're most popular at the moment is Facebook, because that's how we started off. So you'll find a lot of our events, content, everything that we're doing on there. Plus I think everyone knows us quite well for our podcast now. So you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Facebook. We have a TikTok page, we have Instagram, Twitter. So we are out there. So wherever you want to follow us, like I said, what we try and do is bring people together from different walks of the paranormal with our podcast, have chat, have fun with it, and with our investigations. When we do go live, we leave the cameras rolling. So if you want to just watch what we're doing or watch one of the other rooms, you can choose how to watch, really.
I think it's interesting. I've watched a few times. I think it's really good. And I'll be down to see you all this year.
Yeah, so we'll be at the Festival of the Unexplained this year. And we're really excited because we know Dave's going to be there, Neil's going to be there. I think you're going to be there, Drew, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and come this year. I was so disappointed last year.
It's going to be a great event. And to meet everyone, it's great talking to people online, but to meet them in person, I think, like me and Neil said, I don't know if Neil's still in the room, but we said we're going to have a couple of drinks.
Neil, are you there?
throw out some dance moves on the dance floor, show people.
Because definitely, I think the American teams always go to meet and greets and different things, and there's always events. I feel as if in Britain there's not many events, or maybe it's just because of lockdown and things that it's just now starting back up. But I really do feel as if we could have more events even in Scotland. It's a big meet up and things.
I think it's getting there. I think more and more people over this side of the water are starting to believe in it a lot more. Yeah. And I think with the Festival of the Unexplained, you got Parameet, that's done by Neil Packer. You know, another great event that's put together. And I think eventually it will start getting more popular, and then you'll see a lot more coming out of the woodworks. And, you know, it'd just be great for all of us crazy people that run into the dark to be in one room together and have a laugh. So it's
definitely, I think it's brilliant. Yeah.
I mean, do you know something? That's a good idea. I mean, it'd be good to have something like that in Scotland, because Scotland doesn't really throw haunted events like that, and it's actually maybe something to work on, because there's so many haunted locations you could probably throw that.
There is a few, but they're booked right out though. There's a few like ones in Glasgow and things, the scare rooms, but they're booked way up to next year and things. As soon as they opened, it was just, you know.
I know. I mean, I think I might go to that one too with Neil Story, because I've got one of his books there, and I get him to sign it, you know, like that, you know. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for coming tonight. We've actually got a big announcement on Bolden Bonkers tomorrow night. We'll be on a little bit earlier. We're going to be talking about prophecies. What do you know about prophecies, Nando? Like, you know, like Nostradamus and Edgar Casey and Baba Vanguard. You know the prophecies that say like the end of the world and stuff.
Do I know a lot about them? I'll be honest, I don't. You know, so it'll be something interesting to watch, and you know, watch you, and I'm sure you and I've been reading up, time talking about it. I'll be watching, having a laugh.
I've been watching stuff all week, I've been watching stuff.
The big events and things that Nostradamus and things kind of foretold. That's about all I know. Is the big events that he kind of foretold, but that's that.
There's a lot of people out there that have predicted things that have came true, so it'll be quite interesting to talk about that kind of stuff. But we've actually got a surprise. We've got a special show lined up tomorrow after it. Obviously, we're talking about Nostradamus and stuff like that, but be in a little bit earlier, guys. We'll be a wee bit earlier, because we've got something special planned. New York, and that's what I'm going to say. You know, see, I like to get folk going. You know.
You're going to a cabaret, Christopher.
What's that?
You're going to a cabaret in New York. New York is one of those cabarets. Is that what you're trying to tell us? You're going to be dancers.
Can you imagine Chris and
Dakota? I'm his manager. I'm Dakota's manager. He's got the full dress. He's got to be doing the show Cats. He's dressing up as a big cat. He's got to be jumping about. Can you imagine Dakota dressed as a cat? You know. But ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you so much, Nando, for coming on. And we'll need to get you back on sometime again.
It's been fun.
Yeah. So we'll talk to you behind the scenes, Nando, and everybody have a fantastic weekend. See you all tomorrow night.
Bye, everyone.
Blessings, guys.
Thank you for joining us on this exciting adventure with Ghost Squad Scotland. Our team of experienced ghost hunters use the latest technology to explore the paranormal and uncover the truth about the unknown. Don't forget that we're affiliated with Spirit Shack, the UK's premier ghost hunting equipment store, so you can trust our equipment to be top-notch. Plus, we have exclusive Ghost Squad Scotland merch available on our Zazzle store, so you can show your support for the team in style. And if you can't get enough of our ghost hunting adventures, be sure to tune into the Bolden Bonkers TV network to catch our show in action. Content creators can even have their own content syndicated on the network, or create their own custom online TV channel by visiting boldenbonkers.net. Thank you for your support. And remember to always keep an open mind as we continue